Welcome to the Blind Apex Podcast, where amateur club racers tune in to get faster.
This episode is brought to you by Deechwork Fuel Systems. Visit deechworks.com for all your fuel system needs. As always, I'm your host, Con Jonturk, and on this episode, we're going to decompress from our trip to the wind tunnel. It was a big deal for me, not so much a big deal for my guest. Joining me, someone who bought into the whole Miata's the answer thing, and then added aero and an engine swap to actually make it the answer. The Grand Poobah of the Wang Gang, Johnny from NineLives Racing. Welcome to the podcast.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. It's quite the intro.
I try. I stalk people. I do look around. I mean, I've followed you forever. So, forever, 6-7 years, whatever it's been. So
awesome. I'm glad I could be a little entertaining.
Yeah.
What shoot for?
I mean, face to face at the wind tunnel. That's the first time I met you. I drove 8-ish hours to get there. How long did you drive to get there?
I think it was like four some change. The Charlotte to Atlanta trip's not so terrible.
Yeah. We camped out on a mountain in a cabin somewhere, and then made the last hour in the morning. So just trying to hide the car from peeping eyes, but so
you're
Johnny,
trying to hide the car, and I made a Facebook post of it immediately.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, okay, I didn't add that you were a snitch in there. I just called you out on the internet, and because of your post, everyone is like, "So you're the person to go to about aero?" No, actually, I'm not. Like, okay, might be the first 8th gen coupe to be in that wind tunnel. Probably not, but maybe. Maybe the first one that admitted to being there, but I don't know. I haven't gone over the data with AJ or Mario yet, so I'm not sure exactly everything.
Yeah. It was a learning experience for all of us. I think that's kind of the thing with doing this is you always find something new. There's never, you're always scratching your head. You're always going like, oh, we should have done this, we should have done that, and then it kind of gives you some fuel for the next time.
Oh, I have limited rules, and I still want a next time. And I'm not sure right now what I would do, because I want to go over the data and stuff. But I still have this urge to go back into the air. It's basically a hair dryer. I mean, it's hot and windy, but you learn things. Well, so it was interesting.
Yeah, and that kind of opened up my eyes a lot. Well, at least watching your runs, we really opened my eyes up to, like, I want to say, like, the faults of the tunnel, right? Because the tunnel is kind of your coup de grace. Everyone kind of gets all excited about going to the tunnel. And, and I know the faults of the tunnel, and I understand the faults of CFD, and I understand the faults of real world testing and everything like that. And seeing yours, and you guys were so crunched for time that you had a really strong organization for it to get as much data out of it as you could. And after the first run, you guys kind of told us your downforce and your in your drag numbers. And I was listening to what you were saying about, your challenges on track. And I'm like, man, you guys got to stop with your current trajectory, and you got to shift gears. But you can't do that in the tunnel. Like, it's $500 an hour.
Right.
So you got to, I'm like, no, when you ran your first thing and you told me your aero balance and it was like 70% front, I was like, that's pretty good. Like, we should stop trying to find downforce on that car. Because I'm like 70% on a 60% balanced car, on a 60% weight balanced car, I should say, is pretty much perfect. That's what you're shooting for. I'm like, what you guys need to be doing is changing gears and trying to get drag out of that car. But you didn't have any chances to. You didn't have a chance to start testing that. And I was like, oh, okay. I'm like, that's a thing. that's there's some waste, I guess you could say, right there. So I was like, yeah, okay. I'm like, all right, I'm getting it. I'm seeing what the challenges are now with our testings and things like that. So it made a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, Mario was like, you might have an hour, maybe two, right? And so I made my tear sheet for essentially an hour. If you built it out, it was 45 minutes plus 15 minutes setup time, which probably is closer to 20 minutes. And then, AJ was like, let's test this while we're there, and let's test this, and let's test this. So we did, and so was Mario. So we added, I think, 4 runs, I think. Anyway, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's just a learning experience, one learning experience after the other.
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of where the value of having a me or a AJ or a Mario there with you, someone who's done it a bunch of times, can be like, okay, let's try this. Because we've kind of been down these roads and we've seen the challenges, we've seen what works and what doesn't work. And we kind of want to know if what works in our past is going to work on what you got coming up. And we're able to go, okay, let's take the mirrors off. Okay, let's throw a window net up in that thing, and just see what it's like, kind of a thing. It saves you a bunch of effort if, one of us is just standing there.
Oh, for sure. I mean, AJ was helping me in the tunnel. You and Mario were in the control room with the operator. He and I were just running, basically. Yes, I do need to take drag out of my car, essentially. But it'll be an interesting test. So I need to set all that up. Mine were very basic. What does blocking this off do? What does blocking that off do? What does a window net do? What does it do anything? What does moving the wing do? Basic stuff for me.
Sure.
Some questions were answered for me, and then some I don't know. I know they were answered because my rear Lexan wasn't caved in anymore, So moving the wing helped. Moving the wing up helped. Moving the wing a little farther back is going to help even more. So, there's lots of little things. Even moving the front pressure area was helpful to help evacuate more through that vent that I have. So we'll see how that works in the future.
Right.
But I'm already like, well, the next time I go, my wife's like, you're going again? I'm like, yeah, of course. She goes, okay, that's fine. But I didn't know what to expect. So it was an exciting time for me. Were you there just to test with the car that came behind me?
So we were there. Yeah, we were going to be a parts mule. Mario has been, a big help for us, just in getting straight data out. And we've been kind of, because we do the same CFD work that he does. And it's been nice to basically, reach over, like when we're doing our diffusers, it's nice to reach over to him and make sure that he's getting the same results we are. Right. Because, he's totally independent, and it makes it nice that we're getting this nice independent, source. And even on the Miata diffusers, he made an article, and it was, posting about how difficult it is to actually make the Miata diffusers work, which is the same exact thing that we found, that making them work is a real challenge. So it was nice to, I was able to kind of lean over to him and be like, are you getting the same issues with the weird tire wake that we are? And he's like, yeah, absolutely. I'm like, okay, cool. So we're all kind of on the same path here. Like this is working out pretty good. So, it's nice to have those guys around for sure. You can be able to get the answers that you're looking for.
Yeah. I mean, scientifically, if your experiments are being replicated, then it's more validation for you. Right. So, then maybe an extra set of eyes will see something a little different, or see something completely different, not necessarily different, but an additional issue or additional challenge that may have been bypassed in your process. Somebody else can catch it in their process. And so it's helpful. The aero community is sort of, especially the independent folks that are out there, they're really helpful, like Mario is.
Yeah. The only problem I see with the aero community at large is that, and it's more of an internet issue. I'll say it that way because the internet wants yes or no answers, right? Because that's what they're used to.
Yep.
They're used to a set of brake pads having having 0.4 mu and being able to decelerate a car at a certain rate. And as long as you hit, your weight targets, then you should be experiencing that. And aero, and that's what, or you put a set of headers on this car that's got a V8 and it should be making 30 pounds more horsepower because that's what they've tested on those cars. And it's pretty much what you can expect. Aero is not like that at all.
Nope.
It's, just because it works on a Miata doesn't mean it's going to work on a P3 car. And that's because it worked on a P3 car doesn't mean it's going to work on a Formula car. And if it worked on a Formula car doesn't mean it's going to work on your Miata. So it's, so everyone likes to talk, like the internet likes to get like these, yes, this will work answers. And unfortunately, anybody that gives those in the aero world is just setting themselves up to be wrong. Because until you test it, until you run it, you have no idea what it's going to do. It's the air moves its own way, and it's going to move its own way and it's going to move its own way differently for every single car. The only things that we've seen work pretty religiously are wings and splitters. Everything else is completely up in the air.
Yes. And so that's the trick, right? Okay. So the simplicity of it all is the wing and the splitter. So Mario and I had an episode basically about wings and splitters and how to make them work. Okay. Because they sort of just work. You got to do a little more work on a splitter than you have to do on a wing. And then, basically they're going to do what they're going to do.
Right.
But when you see, oh man, I don't remember what you were calling them. The tire spats in the front.
The wickers?
The wickers.
Wickers?
Yeah. Wheel wickers. Yeah. Okay.
Everyone calls them spat.
Spat. Or whatever. Yeah. Wheel wickers. Okay. I'm the noob internet troll. Leave me alone. So, but we saw those on like Grand Touring cars, right? We saw them on pro race cars and we mimic them. And then we go, I wonder why they worked. So before we mimic them, we should try to understand what they're trying to do with it in theory, and then see if that theory even needs to be applied to your car. But you can't really, then it's just a theory on whether it needs to be applied, right? So it's so hard to just make aero work. You have to test in some manner.
Right. And that was like my, the big eye-opening thing with the tunnel was I was like, oh, okay, like CFD is this really helpful handshake to tunnel testing, right? Because on the CFD, it costs a little bit more money to get started because building models is expensive. But once it's going, each run is cheaper than the tunnel, and we have so much more data out of it. We get so much more. We get pressure gradients. We can kind of see what the air is actually doing. The picture is drawn for us, and we can kind of start building parts for the car. And I always like to say, you do the CFD first. You find out what parts you need to make, because you could be spending a week and a half building a diffuser and find out that it's the wrong shape as soon as you put it in the tunnel. When in CFD you could have had it running while you're at work or while you're doing something else to get the car ready, and they're going ahead and just running different designs because in the computer you just kind of move some strafes around, stuff like that. And, then you build a part, and now you can take it to the tunnel and validate it. And that's kind of like the thing. It's like we're always looking for something, but you never know what's not going to work. I think when we were testing that Miata in the tunnel, we were finding a bunch of stuff that wasn't working. I think half of our runs were just stuff that just didn't do anything, and or very small gains. And I understand that small gains are the way to make big gains. Do lots of little ones, but I was constantly saying, I'm like, we're not sitting here on top of a smoking bullet yet. We haven't tested anything that's been eye-opening or shockingly good, or like it's like we haven't made these huge leaps that we were looking for. But in when we do CFD, it's kind of like you got one dude behind a computer and he's just doing that until he finds that bullet for you. And we spent all day there and we never really found one. So it was that was kind of I'm like, okay, one hand needs to shake the other here. I think you definitely want to do the CFD first, so that way you can get the parts built that you think are going to be really good. And then when you take it to the wind tunnel, you're just ready to start validating. You're like, okay, this was working great. This is not working the same way. This is working, or whatever. It just kind of helps you out, get you into the process. And it really makes the wind tunnel time that much more. It makes that wind tunnel time that much cheaper because you don't need to have so much of it.
Yeah. They had a lot of it. They had a lot of time. Like, 6 hours or so?
Oh, yeah. I think we left there at like 5 in the afternoons.
Okay.
We were there after you left. We were there all day, and we were just testing everything.
Yeah. I mean, the whole space next to the tunnel was full of parts prepped and ready to go.
Yeah.
I was like, holy smokes. I look like an amateur.
Like,
I am, but
like we're gonna go test this, and we're gonna go test that, and test this, and test that. And I was impressed with how fast they're doing it, and the tunnel operator was really impressed with how fast they're doing it. I think we heated that tunnel up. I mean, the tunnel was like 100 degrees, and the outside air was like 88. So the tunnel was compressing so much air, it was heating itself up. Mm-hmm. So that was pretty incredible to see that in person, because I've heard about that with tunnels, that like I worked with the guys that do iFly, the indoor air skydiving stuff,
right?
And they were like, yeah, it's just a vertical indoor wind tunnel, and they were saying that they run their tunnel so much that it turns into a giant air fryer, and they were kind of discussing with me how they keep it cool. And they use airfoils a lot like ours and just pipe them full of water to cool off the tunnel. And I was like, that's pretty incredible. Like that's a solid idea. And yeah, it was really cool to see. It was just awesome.
It was, even in the control room, because of so much running in and out, it was hot, just hot.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It was toasty.
The AC was cranking, and I think it was still like 75 degrees in the control room.
Yeah. I think they got the control room up to like 85 by the time the tunnel was 100. And I think outside was like, there was no hope. There was 600 horsepower fans, like just heating that air up. It was incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. That's wild. That's wild.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm sorry you guys didn't find a smoking bullet after we left, but
right. That's what I was looking for. That's what I'm always. Every day I like going in there. I really just want wow moments. That's what gets me up in the morning.
Yeah, but they have a whole tear sheet of things that are invalid now,
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of gains. I mean, I'm not going to say that the entire weekend was wasted. There was a lot of gains. There's a lot of data found, but yeah, I just want that. I want that wow.
Yeah.
That's what we live for. And we just didn't get it on that run. So
yeah, I was just there really for the experience. I wanted to put my car in there and get a baseline, but you guys, you, AJ, Mario, the operator, kicking ideas around, and I was just like, you guys are nerding out on another level. I should have brought beers and like hung out to just listen the whole time. But
oh man, yeah. If the three of us sat around and that someone just goes, here, build a car, like shape a body, and the three of us had a fight for it, I feel like that thing would come out amazing.
I don't know if we could get the three of you to completely agree all the time. There'd have to be some like rock, paper, scissors fights or something.
Yeah, it would be the fun part. They say cream always rises to the top. Like the good idea would stand out. We'd all just be trying to outdo each other, and it would come out awesome.
Yeah. So we talked a little about what you were doing in the wind tunnel. What's your background in racing, and where'd you get to where you are, or how'd you get there?
So I started 2006, during the Great Recession, unemployed, couldn't find a job right out of college or out of Army. And then I went to the Army, then I went to college. And right out of that, I couldn't find a job. So I took a job for my buddy's shop, working at a little 350Z shop where they would just put in turbo kits all day long. And that's all we did. And that got pretty old pretty fast, especially because you never really get paid. I was like, I really love the industry, but I don't love doing this. And I was a mechanic in the Army, and I was pretty burnt out on actually wrenching. And I was like, all right, I'm going to start looking for something else. And I picked up, the want ads, and I saw an ad for performance friction brakes. And I was like, all right, I'll apply down there, see what happens. I was in Chicago at the time, and they're in Charlotte. So I'm like, let's see what happens. And lo and behold, I got a phone call like about a week later saying, oh, you're interested? I'm like, yeah, I'm very interested. Like, all right, cool. Well, how about you fly down? We'll fly you down for an interview and, all this stuff. And so I go down there. Frankly, I was sold before I even got into the building because I left Chicago and it was like 30 degrees out and Charlotte was 65. And I'm like, I'm in.
Yeah,
I don't even care what we're doing. Like, I'm in. Get in there. And that was a whirlwind. That was probably the most life-changing thing I've ever done was, leaving the city that I've always lived in, apart from the travel side in the Army, going down, walking into this motorsports like mecca where, we're working with IndyCar, we're working with, we had guys going to Formula One, trying to get business. We had guys trying in NASCAR all the time. I got to work with a gentleman whose name was Joey Knuckles, who was, I think he was Darrell Waltrip's crew chief, I think it was. And I was directly reporting to him. I got to work with all the great, like they were like picking a field that you like and then just hound that. And I was like, all right, well, I picked Grand Am. And, I was the phone support for most of the field on Grand Am. I'd pick up for NASCAR when they were working, that kind of stuff, and just doing technical advice, kind of a thing. And that was a really high stressful job, and left there. Went to go work for OG Racing, which I assume a lot of your listeners know who they are. I was the Southeast rep for them, and I was doing the same thing, doing the PFC brakes, stuff like that, popping to pro teams once in a while, get them whatever they wanted. We won I think it was still a Grand Am championship with Rum Bum Racing, on the brakes that we set them up with, things like that. I know I almost won an IMSA championship with Freedom Autosports. Got them all set up, the Liam Dwyer teams. Those guys were amazing. And frankly, I was doing some work with Elan Motorsports, which kind of lead me into the NineLives thing. So Elan was building the NPO1 project. And I was in there helping him out with the driver fittings and things like that and the safety gear side. And they were like, hey, you should try this aluminum wing. And I'm like, no, it's a silly idea. Nobody ever wants an aluminum wing. And for 2 years, the lead engineer was over there, like, just put it on your stupid Miata, and eventually I broke down. I was like, you know what? I put a splitter on my car. I can't get the rear end settled. I'll try it. The price was right. They're basically throwing it at me. And I'm like, I'll try it. And so I put it on my car, and we went 7 miles an hour faster through the corners, 5 miles an hour faster through the straights. And I was like, this thing is real. Like, this is incredible. And I had already kind of told some guys on the internet through, there's a group called Trackable Miatas, that they were talking about doing some eBay wings. And I was like, I can get this wing from Elan for like a few $100. Like, if you guys want to try that. And they're all excited. They're like, yeah. I'm like, all right. And there's so many of them. I started a website just to keep everybody together, like to keep everything organized, or I'd lose track of everything. And so I was like, okay, that works. And when I tested it and I'm like, this thing's real, I'm like, all right, this is a good enough thing for me to sell. Like, let's go for it. And that was 2018. And from there, kept growing the company. We got a lot of great customers. We've worked with, everybody from, Joe Schmo and his Lemons team helping to go faster to, the Champ Car champions. I think we've won almost every we've had a car win almost every single Champ Car championship since we started. We've even worked with teams like NineLives Racing, which won the 24 Hours Daytona this year, and they just won the Glen last weekend. All Remstar Racing, who was at Le Mans this year. Like it's been a whirlwind, and even helping guys go up Pikes Peak, stuff like that. Anything we can do to just kind of help somebody that's really never messed with aero before to just get a basic understanding and hopefully get one of our stickers across the finish line first. We're all about it. And that's pretty much been the life, we've stuck to our principles of winning is everything. American manufacturing is everything. Like the FUBU mentality of for us, by us, I'm a racer. I build parts for racers, and that's all we ever do. And we're not really interested in stepping outside of that. We just want to make sure that we're the best, and we want to be number one, and that's what we're shooting for. And that's pretty much the story. I wish it would be a bit more interesting or colorful, but yeah, that's pretty much about it.
Talk to me in 20 years when your story gets even better. You're still in your, I hate to call it infancy because, you guys have so many things, and that's what I appreciate about you guys. We were talking before we hit record. You guys have splitter kits, you have the wing kits, you have diffusers, you're working on all sorts of cars, every kind of car. You're like, hey, if you got one, I need it, come down, let me scan it. You went real state of the art. It's not, you're not cardboard engineering things, Well, no. the splitter template is a little bit.
I won't
like
push cardboard away.
No, yeah,
I won't say no to cardboard, but yeah, absolutely. 3D scanners, CNC equipment, everything out the wazoo. If there's a piece of equipment that I can buy that will make us more efficient, easier to use, better for our customers, and I have absolutely no problem spending the money on that. I will invest every dollar we made back right back into that company. Like it's not a problem. Let's go for it. Let's win these races.
So before we get into the stuff that I really appreciate, you guys have auctions that happen. How many times do the auctions go every year?
It's kind of on demand. So we're having an auction, which unfortunately by the time you hear this, it'll probably be over. But that was like the first one in 6 months that we've had. Okay. And it's just the scratch and dents. So it's
pile.
Or yeah, like some of them are like pristine. Like one of the wings on there, the gentleman ordered everything for his car. His wife got mad and he had to refund it, kind of a thing. And so that's on there. Most of it is, my wing arrived damaged. And so one of the things that we do is if your wing shows up damaged, I do not want an unhappy customer, no matter what. Mm-hmm. Or if your wing, even if your wing gets stolen, I don't care. I want you to get your parts you paid for. We will remake it for you, even if it's at a loss to us. Because you wanted it, you're excited to get it, you waited to get it because we built everything to demand or on demand. And for you to not get it or be damaged is not acceptable to us. So we go ahead and replace them for you. So a lot of these wings are just, 97% of them are just damaged in shipping, or like the CNC went crazy and put a logo in a spot wasn't supposed to be. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then we put them up on the website and on this auction that we do. Probably I want to say like at the most we do it twice a year. At the most we probably do like 4 times a year. At the least we'll do like once or twice a year. It just clears out all the wings we got on a rack, so we can get more space in the shop, basically.
Yeah, but it's I love it for the do-it-yourself stuff. So, it's amazing.
That's about to get better. We're launching a brand called NineLives Express.
Okay,
which is 100% do-it-yourself. It's our airfoil, not a different one, Same 15-to-1 lift to drag ratio, with the mounts in the wing, and it's all the labor is taken out of it, so we can make it as cheap as we can. Mounts in the wing, end plates in the box. We cut them to very specific sizes, and when you order it, it ships that day. Like, it's no waiting, but it's only 3 sizes, and unfortunately, we're not going to do anything fancy with it. So that way we can keep them in inventory and get them out fast. But yeah, so if you're a DIY guy and you know how to weld, or you got a buddy that welds, we're going to have a kit for you here pretty quick.
Oh, that's awesome news. I don't know if you remember it's probably 3 years ago now. I ordered a bunch of, like, cause I don't know if you still do it. The winglet, the end pieces from the winglets, or
the mini wings. Yeah.
The mini wings. I was building the Hyperfest downhill car, and I tried to turn a dirt like buggy into an Indy car just for the heck of it. So I was having a good time. I was like, I don't know how I'm going to get these things to stay on here, but
that was a April Fool's joke that stayed.
Yeah.
I was like, I think it was like our first year, and April rolled around, and everyone's making all these silly camshaft jokes. And that was when, like, Holly made their moonshot nitrous kit, which was like 10 plates all stacked on top of each other, just as a joke. And so I said, we'll make mini wings. And I just took a picture of, like, this 4-inch wing with end plates on it. And everybody was like, yeah, we want that. I'm like, what? And they're like, yeah, we want that. So I was like, all right, like, we'll just sell for like $30,
Yeah. I have another car to build. Great. So,
yeah,
it's a couple years in the making, but
yeah, we had Justin Reed bought like 10 of them and welded them all back together. And if you see if you don't know who he is, look him up. He's got like an RX-8 with like a turbo LS motor in it, and like the biggest triple and quadruple element airfoils. It's all our wings all welded together. It's the silliest thing. When I first saw it, I was like, I don't know what's going on, but I'm just happy to be involved. Like, thank you.
Yeah, appreciate that. You're giving those do-it-yourself guys something to work with for smaller or really weird projects, which can be fun.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And that's how I started. I'm a DIY guy. I built a race car but I took a lot of inspiration from the SLR Trans Am team, who were kind of at the cutting edge of Trans Am, and at least in cutting edge of Trans Am chassis design. And I stole a whole bunch of their ideas, which I'm sure they don't mind, and I put them into my little Miata. Mm-hmm. And if you notice, like, our shop car runs same lap times as cars with twice our power. It's pretty amazing, actually. If you sit back, there's a dude running around trying to run me down right now with 800 horsepower K Miata, and he's like if I show up a fresh set of tires, he ain't beating us. He's got twice our power. So it's it's kind of one of those things. I'm like, all right, let's doing it yourself. Empowering the little guy, empowering somebody who just wants to get it done that might not have the money is what the sport's all about. Everyone should be building their own car. It's the fun part, and then when you go out to the track when you go out to the track and get your head kicked in, then you realize that, I built this wrong. I need to go back and fix it, or when you go out and you win, there's no better feeling in the world. It's great. Yeah, it's just what we're all about,
Awesome. So what I genuinely appreciate about you guys is that you came out with the wing kits, but you didn't leave these things alone. Then you started developing the splitter kits. I know they're, mostly Miatas, and I don't remember what else you make it for. Vets, I think. I don't remember.
Yeah, Vets. The two big markets are Corvettes and Miatas.
Go figure.
Well, it was by design. You stand up on the top of a hill overlooking a paddock, and it's like, what are the two things you see the most are Corvettes and Miatas. BMWs are third, right behind it, especially in the Bimmer World area, which you can get NineLives Racing wings at. and they're not so far behind. But yeah, that's I'm like, okay, we need to help the masses, so that's the way we went. I mean, we love Honda Challenge too. Like they'll let me forget you guys. You guys definitely are our boys too. So we want to make sure you guys are going fast. But yeah, that was by design.
Yeah. So, but you didn't just go here are some splitter mounts for you guys. Here are stock bumper, foils for you or whatever. And you order this one and it's 3-inch lip, and you order that one and it's 5-inch lip, and but you guys actually worked hard, in my opinion. And it seems to look like you guys worked hard to get them refined, right? So you offer things like splitter tunnels, other places don't, right? You're going to have to buy somebody else's splitter tunnels, or if you have somebody else's splitter, you're going to buy Johnny's splitter tunnels and put them on your other splitter, and then,
right.
So let's talk about tunnels first.
Yeah.
How much are they really worth? And then what are sort of the best practices? Because there's going to be people retrofitting, they're not going to have maybe they have your splitters, but like how much do they help, and what are the best practices when we're installing those? Not that I am.
So splitter tunnels are tricky, right? Because getting them to work, like any kind of under car aero, is very difficult to make work. Especially like tunnels, diffusers, any of that kind of stuff. There's so many forces acting upon them, and there's so many exterior forces. Like I'll give you an example. So we did like a NACA profile. Oh, there's Puppy. We did like a NACA profile on a first splitter ramp, and we're doing one, and I was gonna say we're gonna do one where it looked like a NACA, or half of it was NACA, half of it was a straight wall, and I was like, if this works, we're gonna call them Johnny ramps. I'm gonna trademark it, all right? Like, because if it works, like that was gonna be our design. We tried them out, and that arrow underneath the car stalled out the wing, right? So ramps and the way they work is very difficult to get right. So to be sitting there and going, okay, I'm going to put a big ramp in and it's going to work better than a small ramp is far from the truth. Where they're placed, where they're placed is a big deal. Where the air is exiting into, where the air is entering from, all that's a huge deal. So, how much do they help? It's hard to tell. We see like on the Corvettes, it was like a 10% bump. The Miatas was a little bit smaller on that. But Miata's already made a really great front downforce anyway. So it was kind of, we were seeing like them grow downforce by about 10%, 12% at the max. So it was more like something that just makes your splitter work a little bit better.
Okay. I mean, that's fair, right? But if you can tune these tunnels, if you can tweak them and get them to work, you can get that little extra and strike that balance that maybe you need, So,
right.
I think that's important, and I think it's ignored by some of the competition, or not ignored by the competition, but they just don't care to invest the time into making them work with their own product. So kudos to you guys.
Yeah. Like, there's a company out there that sells the ramps, and I'm not going to bash them or anything like that. But I will say, so I'll give you an example. So I had a customer come in with AMG GT, like the new nice ones, and he had their ramps in it, and it was a nice piece. And I even made a video about it, about the install and the way they were positioned, and the hardware that was used really made the ramps only work about 10% of their potential, right? Because they're getting installed by somebody who, kind of read an article, and that was the end of their aerodynamic knowledge. And so from that, they weren't getting any real benefit from it. It was, the money was essentially wasted on it. as opposed to ours, where when we build a splitter ramp, we we go through the whole process. We put it through the wind tunnel or through the CFD. We find out where they're actually going to work and where they're going to do the best. Then we put it in production, right? So that way there's no guessing. The splitters are pre-cut already for the ramp to go in. If the rules allow it, you can just put it right in and you're going to get the gain. As opposed to, like, here's some good luck, kind of an answer. So we, like you said, we want our racers to win. We want our racers winning. That's our number one priority. That's the only thing we want done.
No, they seem to be. I know you got at least one, maybe two Honda Challenge national championships in H2. So
yeah, Honda Challenge. I think we've won. I think we've won the national championship every year that we've been open. So
that's fair.
Like I'll take that.
Yep. Yep. So let's talk about wings, because in the past we've said put your wing on and forget it, right? That's the easy way to do it. Buy from a reputable company and it should work pretty decently, but you guys went a little different. So now you have multiple element wings, right? They're offered on the website. What does adding the elements do for me? Yeah,
so the element that we used is an Elan profile. So they're the ones that developed it. It came off of, I'm going to rattle off some race car names, so get ready with your Google. So it came off of the DPO2 car, which came off of the Elan Esperante that won Le Mans. And then that profile was also used on their Indy 500 winning cars because they were a big IndyCar champ car constructor back in the 90s. And it's an incredibly efficient airfoil. It's 15-to-1 lift to drag ratio. We are able to extract almost up to 1,000 pounds of downforce out of one using, the multi-elements and things like that. And yeah, it's one of the, frankly, it's one of the things that just keeps giving. It's a really surprising airfoil.
So the dual element, is it still a 15-to-1 ratio?
No.
Okay.
It's a, once you start adding more, anytime you start adding AOA or more elements, then it starts getting to be, your lift or drag starts falling.
Okay.
So at that point, we're, so it's just like an airplane, right? So when you got an airplane, and it's taken off, they put down their flaps. And it's the exact same thing for our wing is when you put down the flaps, the downforce or the lift created by the airfoil starts gaining a tremendous amount. But also the bad part is your drag also starts gaining as well. So your lift to drag starts falling, but your overall peak downforce starts picking up. So at that point, you're going to be thinking, okay, do I want to have a multi-element wing? What is that going to give for me? If you're, in a, let's say like an autocross environment, drag's not so much of a concern there. So if that is a kind of a no-brainer, you want to go for a multi-element wing. If you have a large amount of horsepower, let's say you're like in TTU or some kind of unlimited class, then it's like also no-brainer. You want to go for multi-element wing because you can just offset the drag by adding more power. If you're in a smaller class, let's say you're doing grid life, like a GLTC class, or which I don't think multi-elements or wings are allowed anyway. But even so, if they were, you wouldn't want them because it's a horsepower limited class. Your H2 class, things like that. You at that point you want a really efficient wing. You want to start really killing the drag off the car,
right? Because
if you're slipperier than everybody else, now on the straightaways it's easier to pass. It's easier to get around stuff, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where you're looking at there. So if you're an autocrosser, start doing the double, triple elements. Horsepower class, you're okay, but at the lower stuff now we really need to start maximizing efficiency.
Right. So when we get into the efficiency, especially for the back end, you have end plates. You have the basic, the mega, and the CFD plate, right?
Yeah.
If I'm looking to reduce drag and maybe not pick up any downforce, is there what's my combination here?
So the story behind the Megas is kind of funny. So I was working with my friend Joel Morrison, who's runs GLTC, and he was like, "I want a big end plate," and I was like, well, "What do you mean? Like, how big?" And he goes, "I just want a big. I don't care. I just want a big one." And so I'm like, "All right." So we just cut him like a big 12-inch, by 10 square, and got him these mega huge end plates. And then we had another company that was building us CFD end plates, the CFD V1s, which it almost never see anymore, but they were really popular back in the day. And they were, they were having some supply issues, stuff like that. So we had just started working with Moreland Engineering, who was doing all of our CFD work. And I was like, all right, guys, here you go. Go ahead and take as long as you want and build me a CFD V2 end plate. Like, I want an end plate that just maximizes this wing, something that can't be any better. And for about 2.5 months, they were doing nothing but running end plate designs and shapes and styles. And they could not beat the Megas. Like, the Megas were so good that they were having a hard time beating them on downforce. And after a while, we settled on the current CFD V2 style that we offer. And I was like, and they were like, basically, we can't beat the downforce on the Megas. Like, the downforce on the Megas were good. The only thing we could do is match it, but we can reduce the drag on the wing by a substantial amount. So it was like a 7% reduction in drag over the Megas. And I was like, all right, cool, that works. I'm like, that's, the best is the best at that point. And that's where we came through with the CFD V2s. And that's the shape that we're running now. So if you're in a class that's limited on power, CFD V2s are the way to go, just because they do nothing but reduce drag. Like, they make more downforce, but they just make the wing really slippery. They allow a lot of the air to escape the wing. They just make it a lot more efficient operation, I guess you could say.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have to look into that. Maybe when I buy my my swan neck wing, 55-inch swan neck off the next auction.
Right.
Yeah. So
what we should do is, if you want efficiency, what we should do is an end plate mounted wing.
Oh, are they much more efficient? Yeah.
Yeah. So the swans, you actually gain like 1% of drag because the pylons are bigger.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of like you save some drag on the wing, but you lose, you save some drag on the wing, but you gain some with the pylons.
Okay.
Yeah. So an end plate one is actually really good.
Okay.
And I think your car was big enough we can actually do it.
I think so too, actually. And my current mounts are mounted right at the end of the wings, or right at the end of the trunk. So I have to do the math because I have to set it rearward a little bit, but I'll do the math and maybe I'll hit you up. So the other thing is you guys have gurney flaps. Now, what's a gurney flap going to do that I can't do by pitching my wing angle a little bit?
So the gurney flap trips the air coming off the back of the wing, and it makes the wing act like it's a bigger wing. They do come with a drag penalty, but it does gain, like, your lift to drag falls a little bit on that, but your peak downforce comes up. Okay. And your peak downforce comes up. Your drag does come up as well. But the nice thing about them is that it's a really efficient tuning tool, right? Like, everyone kind of looks at them like they're trying to pick out like their son's birthday or their son's first name kind of a thing, And I'm like, no, it's not that serious. Like, use them as a tuning tool. So if you're, out there and you're racing around, the car's a little loose, toss in, the end plate comes off in 10 seconds, and then you can slide in a bigger gurney, toss in a bigger gurney, and vice versa. If you're, so like if you're racing at Summit Point, you need more grip in the back and it's a little bit loose, throw in a bigger gurney. But if you're going to go to VIR and you got a little bit more top speed, now maybe looking for a smaller gurney or take the gurney out because you need to get a bit more top speed out of it. So it's kind of, it's like one of those things. That's how you should be looking at the gurney flaps, is more of, this is a tuning piece of equipment more so than this is going to make my wing this much more efficient or it's going to make it this much more better, kind of a thing.
Okay. I mean, that makes sense. So,
yeah.
Awesome. So I know we can't talk about the item that was undercover at the wind tunnel, but
yeah,
what can we, the consumers, expect from NineLives in the near future?
We got three exciting things coming out. ND Miata straight wings are going to be coming out on the 1st.
Okay.
So probably by the time this podcast comes out, those will be the pre-buy will be ready. So they're going to be sold at a discount for the first early adapters. We are going to be launching our quick disconnect splitter kits. So we're going to start with a universal kit first, where it uses a double fail-safe latch system to make sure that the splitters stay on the cars. And it, rapid 2 seconds splitter comes off the car kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that will start getting adapted into all of our current splitter designs and going forward. And then third one, we got the express wings coming out. So that'll be the the 56, the 67, and the 71-inch express wing kit. So that'll be at a really inexpensive entry level, fast ship level for fabricators, shops, and and for the general DIY racer.
Sweet, man. I mean, you guys are always working on stuff, so it's good to hear that in the near future I have more things to look forward to and figure out, because I'm currently not really thrilled with my splitter mounts, so I'll keep looking.
Man, everybody I talked to is never happy with their splitter, and it makes sense because I had one dude that was like, "Man, put my splitter on." He was kind of giving me a critique. He was like saying that our splitters are hard to install, and I was like, "Well, yeah, you're laying underneath a car, trying to put something on the bottom of your car that's the size of a kitchen table by yourself,
right?
Like it's like that sucks, And everybody always wants quick disconnects, and I'm like, if you look at my car, I don't have quick disconnects because I'd rather have a quick disconnect bumper where I can just pop the bumper off and work on anything I need to underneath there. And then when it comes time to load the trailer up, I have really large tires that I put on the front. And that lifts the splitter up like 3-4 inches. But that means my splitter is nice and stable and it's rigid, which is exactly what you need to make downforce. So that's kind of my solution to loading, is just some eBay chrome 19-inch wheels that we got. They get super cheap. You bolt them on and the front of your car comes way up and you can put it on your trailer really easy.
Yeah. Yeah. I let air out of the back of my tires to help in my system, but I still have to remove my my splitters, or my splitter has to be removed, and it can end up into a marital dispute because it's where my splitter mounts are. They have a 1/2 inch of play on either side to actually make it in between my ramps. They hang so low. If you hit anything, then I have to go bang them square, and then that takes half an hour to re-square it.
Go get yourself some 21-inch tall chromy wheels, and
yeah,
I guarantee that thing will roll right on. I learned that lesson from the TCR cars.
Okay,
when we're helping out a bunch of those teams, and I was like, watching them roll the cars out of the trailer, the front tires are enormous and the rear tires were like 15s, like super tiny wheels.
Right.
And that pitched the wing down low enough because TCR cars are huge and all the race haulers are not. So they had to come up with a really clever way to get the wing down and the splitter up in order to get it into the race hauler.
Yeah. Well, maybe I'll hunt Facebook Marketplace for some big old Johnnies to throw on there, and
there you go. Maybe we should sell some obnoxious splitter raising wheels and call them Johnnies.
So
I'm cool with that.
All right. Well, I appreciate you coming on the show and just doing a little decompression post wind tunnel,
Yeah.
So there's a lot to learn when you're there. There's a lot going on. I encourage anybody who can tag along, do it, whatever, to go, because it's a learning experience, and it was a great experience with the three of you guys there. So
agreed. I think the amount of talent in that room, probably not so much me, but everybody else was exceptional. I feel like that you guys were really in and learning a bunch from it, and I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. I appreciated the opportunity, and I appreciate you coming on the show, man. Where can everybody find you?
Oh, the socials are easy. It's NineLivesRacing.com or NineLives Racing on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. And then, just that's the easiest way to get a hold of us. So just shoot us an email, give us a phone call. And the website is NineLivesRacing.com.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
No problem. Yeah, absolutely. I'll be happy to do it.
Until next time, keep working on yourself, keep working on the car, and let's get faster.